I've got a confession to make.
I need to get this off my chest. As a business owner, we all make mistakes.
I've got to confess.
Live again with the one and only Kim Barrett. It's so good to see you again, dude. So good to have you back. How are you doing?
I am doing super well, Mr. Charley, sir. Glad to be back rocking out another episode with you. Everything is going good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. Things, you know, when you just have one of those weeks when it's like a lot of the projects you've been working on are starting to come to light. Like it's like you're starting to see some payoffs. So this last week, I've been kind of looking at things going, there was so much work I did earlier in the year with like no return that's starting to turn into something where it's like I'm loving it a lot. And one of those things is this podcast. So it's finally happened, and I'll explain. People contact me and actually say, "Oh, I love this episode. That was a really good bit." And I'm like,
They're listening.
yeah, because like you would remember, like back when we first started this, it was like I felt like we were publishing pretty much for our friends.
Well, even our girlfriends wouldn't listen to it.
That's a bit of a sore point.
It's all right. Lily still hasn't listened to an episode yet.
I'm actually going to maybe mention that to her. I might even send her the start of this episode to get her in from that. But that's the funny thing. And it was a really good reminder in like how important patience is as a business owner. Like we live in this world of like, instant messaging and like expectations on, instant gratification that I'd almost forgotten what it was like to, spend, well, where are we at? Month 5. So 5 months doing a project with, little to no return to all of a sudden where it's starting to turn in so much more. So a heavy reminder in how important that patience thing is. But what's happening in your world at the moment?
Oh, so much and so little. As I said before, I'm doing about 65 people's jobs at the moment, which is great. So, it's always fun. Still making sure I focus on my systems and dashboards and all that fun stuff too. But, the last couple of weeks have been pretty crazy on this side, considering we're on confessions, to confess honestly. Been hectic. But, team changes and all that fun stuff. So it's good, but there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So coming out of that, and obviously always getting the benefit of leaning on Charlie a little bit when it comes to these things for advice, insights, and feedback. It's, fun and games.
What's funny, I'm actually starting to wonder, is there something in the air? Because I kid you not, in the last 10 days, many people have come to me with people challenges, like whether they've got team changing over or circumstances have meant they need new team or they're growing too quickly and their current team isn't coping. But it seems like that's almost the flavor of the month at the moment, where it's like people are the thing. And I think we'll probably discuss this at length in another episode, but it's just such an important thing to get right. Team is just one of the vital things that can make a business or break one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mercury's in retrograde. I'm just going to put it out there. Something like that.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's a very interesting thing at the moment. But nonetheless, I think we're talking about something today which I'm excited, I suppose, to be on the learning side. So this is really, I'm just going to say it, this episode's just for me. This is a selfish episode. For me to learn more about messenger bots. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. And I know like this is an area where your skills are impressive. I won't lie, I was very, very impressed and like almost like giddishly excited with some of the things you've shown me on Facebook Messenger box. I'm like, oh my God, no way you can do that.
Yeah, it's pretty funky. And that's like, and we're so lucky that they did come back, because I just went over and did a presentation in Canada, and they only just re-allowed bots to happen the day before my presentation. So I was freaking out. I was like, I'm going to go and show them all this cool stuff, and nothing's actually going to, like, they won't be able to do it. It's really cool, but you guys can't do this. So just absorb it and get excited. But so we're pretty happy to talk about it, and that they're possible to be reattached to pages now.
Yeah, so they were briefly banned for a while. So while there was some sagas going on with Facebook and GDPR and a lot of things in the Facebook Analytica space, like I know Facebook put a pause on them so they could make sure they were doing the right things with data. Now, first off, I'll say well done, Facebook. Like if something's cautious there, like turning it off for a bit, making sure you're doing things that served people in a better way, and then allowing it was the way to go. But nonetheless, it had me nervous of like what they were doing in that site. So I want to lead into some questions, Kim. This is going to be me asking you all kinds of things. But the first thing that comes to mind, and like, this is the big one. Are messenger bots the next big thing?
Short answer, yes. And the one thing I want to clarify on there is like what a bot is / means. Because a lot of people, they hear it and they go, oh yeah, I know someone that used an Instagram bot and it banned their account and it's something that was bad. Or they're like how do I attach several bots to my messenger, and what does all that all sort of mean? So basically a bot is just something that automates a task. So I think the first bot was built in like 1967. Like it was actually what a bot was, automating it. So Siri on your phone, anything like that, an immediate response is a bot. There's something that Facebook does support, as you just said, in messaging. They have a heavy connection with pushing people towards Messenger. They're trying to use that as one of the I was reading yesterday one of the number one like marketing destinations for people on social media is going to be Messenger within the next 5 years is their goal. So they're really heavily pushing towards it, and they support bots. So there's about, I think it was like 200,000 apps, and bots being one type of app that were disallowed after Facebook lifted the ban on connecting bots back up. So if they were ever going to go away, that would have been the time. So everyone's aware, like it's not a flash in the pan hack thing. It's something that Facebook supports and they want people to use more of.
Yeah, great answer. And I think that's a great starting point to kind of communicate when we're talking about messenger bots, what they are, because there certainly are a lot of things out there. So that's a really good point to start with. The second thing is, like, that's a very interesting point of view that Facebook themselves are pushing Messenger to become the marketing platform. And I mean, from my own experience, I've noticed there's more ads in Messenger and that I'm actually probably using that more these days. So I can see why this is becoming interesting for ad placements and Facebook as a business model. So the answer really is yes, this is something that's almost a sleeping giant at the moment. It's only going to get bigger. Yeah,
and I think it was in the F8 summit that Facebook runs is normally when they announce new things. So and my numbers may be a little bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 200,000. It was either 200,000 or 500,000. But anyway, at not this year's, the year before's summit of how many bots were existent. This year, in the last 12 months, so it either went from 2 to 4 or 5 to 500,000 to 1 million. I can't remember the exact number, but the number of bots that people were using had doubled. So there's still something like 100 million Facebook pages, but I think it was like 1% had already had bots connected. So they're very, very like a heavy focus of Facebook.
Brilliant. Do you think that most businesses, and I say most because it's never going to be all, but do you think most businesses will eventually have a messenger bot?
I think everyone should. So like Facebook have their own mini bot, which is like, hey, we're not here, we'll be back soon, like leave a message. But I think like anyone that's using it, and it's interesting, right? Because let me give you this as an example. If you've seen now sometimes like links, like if you have an actual link inside of Messenger, on some people's profiles, they're actually unclickable now. If I send you a link in Messenger, you can't click it. Like, so I was chatting with my buddy and we're sending each other links and he's like, I can't click any of your links. Any link anyone sends to me is not clickable inside my Messenger. And I was like, well, I think number one, that's for safety, so you can copy and paste it out. But number two is for bots, because then if you have a button inside of Messenger, people can click the button and that force pushes to open a new page. But obviously it's your consent to click to do that. So I think they're definitely like moving towards that, which is really interesting. And they're like they're taking away some of the functionality and pushing it towards what a bot would give functionality to.
Interesting. Very interesting on that point there. Do you believe that bots is something that the average business owner is going to be able to do themselves? Or do you think this is something that's going to turn into a service provider industry where we'll hire people to do our bots and have them done for us?
I think it's exactly the same as Facebook ads. It's like anyone could do it. Whether or not you do it right is a whole different kettle of fish. You know, like I think that's the big thing. Anyone can go on and boost a post. Like you can connect it and have a button or two, but if you want to use the full capability and gamut and scope, like you can boost a post or you can run a crazy retargeting conversion campaign. So like, I think there's always levels. So yes, I think business owners can connect them. Whether or not they get the best utility out of them is where I think will fall into the scope of business happening. I know there's several businesses, like we do bots for people. I know there's plenty of others that do too. I'm pretty sure one's already started and then got acquired middle of last year. Yeah. A rather large company, like a training company that were teaching bots, then bought a done-for-you bot company out already. So it's already happening. That was all messenger bots, no other types of bots either.
Fantastic. And I'm thrilled to hear it. I'm liking to hear that. It's a good sign for the industry if people are hungry for that type of thing. So I want to go into some examples or things you see that are really interesting here, because for myself, one of the things I find myself asking is like, I love the idea of Messenger bot. I use Messenger, and like, if I could get more out of Messenger, I think it's a great idea. But how is a bot useful? Like, what are the businesses, and I'll ask more specifically, what industries or businesses do you see using bots or getting the most out of them? And then how are they getting the most out of them? Like, what's the activity it's performing?
Yeah, and again, I know it's broad and I shouldn't say it, especially as a marketing person, but really everyone. And I'll give you some examples. So there's a couple of different functions that you can use for it. So if you look at this podcast, we have a podcast bot. Like, we have a bot attached to our podcasting page where people can subscribe, and anywhere where there's an RSS feed or an update, whether it be YouTube, Omnia, iTunes and things like that, you can push those notifications, because previously, again, if we look at automating a task, right, you have a new piece of content you develop across whichever business that you're in, then you post it up, obviously, you into whatever platform you're hosting it on. Then you have to remember to do an email out. Then you have to copy and paste it to your social profiles and share it with people. And it's something that can very easily drop by the wayside. It's like, I've seen people, it's like they've got all this content and they'd never tell anyone they put it out there. What that does is it allows that distribution. So the first point being distribution to automatically happen. As soon as you post a YouTube video on your YouTube channel, notify your subscribers that are subscribed to you in Messenger. That's point one, is that distribution and taking away that the personable time to have to do that. Again, automating that task. Number two is customer service. I was actually speaking with someone yesterday who has boot camp locations. And every time there's different groups, different locations, and they had to create a new Facebook profile to then interact with those groups, so that it wasn't one trainer that got lobbed with everything and then their messenger blew up because all the people were messaging them. She's like, yeah, we have to do this, and then we have to send all these messages, and it's a pain in the ass. I'm like, well, what if you had a messenger bot that took over the customer service, that reminded people, hey, every Tuesday, 4 a.m., you better be awake because you've got boot camp at 5, like, see you down there, and allowing them to have that interaction in customer service. So that's the second functionality, is utilizing customer service. So any business where like, cool, we send emails out to clients and things like that. I know sometimes I broadcast an email, or I send an email even to Charlie, and because I've done my emails attached to our Infusionsoft and we mail out and blah, 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 sometimes it hits the spam box and this just is gone. Even though it's a customer service email, I'm not spamming something. I'm like, hey, Charlie, this, doesn't get it. So utilizing Messenger for customer service, and one of the big functionalities there also is for bricks and mortar businesses is probably the only tangible good use for a QR code is that you can have a Messenger code that people scan and then they are brought into your bot. So if you have a place where people are coming in store, you can scan that and use that to segment them and then serve your customers in that way also. And then lastly, well, not lastly, but the third main functionality then is lead generation also. So where as everyone that messages the bot becomes a subscriber, becomes subscribed to you and able to communicate with, you're able to use that for lead generation by attaching it to your ads, sending people to Messenger in your ads, getting people to comment on posts and then messaging them to bring them into the bot, as well as anyone directly messaging your page. So we also have done some pretty interesting things with our bots and how we bring them in lead gen from our site, because like everyone, and I'm sure you have, Charlie, and every business has a contact us page on their website, right? So
definitely. Yeah,
everyone's pretty much got one because you need it for your website. So instead of, and I saw this full credit to, who was the guy that did it? I think it was Jason Swank. I'll give him credit for it. He was talking about it on a podcast. Obviously, I listened to it and I saw, okay, I'm going to try this. So instead of having a contact us form, I had our contact us button or link on the website go to our bot, and started a whole like engagement sequence. And I, pretty cool pictures of bots in there and being like, hey, I'm here to help you out. And segmenting and separating people out based on like their business turnover, what they're interested in, and engaging them. And we actually literally signed up our first client that hit the contact us page, hit into our bot on Monday morning. And yesterday afternoon, I had a call with her, and now she's a new client, which is pretty fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really cool. That was kind of like drinking from a fire hose, though. There's a lot of information you just shared. Oh, am I? I'm like, all right, I want to break this down a little bit, because like you're obviously very knowledgeable in this area and can see all these things. But even in listening to that, and I would say I'm a pretty tech savvy guy, there was ideas and concepts that I went, oh, okay, well, there's actually more. So the one that stood out is like what you just said about the contact us page, I think is a really good idea. And I'll explain something with that is the live chat on the Outsourcing Angel website is now Facebook Messenger. And our live chat experience and like what we've been getting from our live chat on a website went through the roof when we changed over from that into a Facebook platform or a Messenger one. So I can see straight up that the contact us page, that's the low-hanging fruit. We should all be doing that. So I love that one, and it's already turned into a client for you. So I think if you're a business owner out there and you're thinking about Facebook bots and how you can do it, number one is like how they're communicating with your clients. Number two, and this had kind of escaped me in a way, is like content producers. So if you're making any type of content, and I suppose almost treating it like a little bit like an email list where it's like you're informing your following, hey, I've got a new piece of content up. I really like that because, man, it's impossible these days to know what Facebook algorithms or YouTube algorithms or Insta algorithms are going to do. So to me, that says, well, if you're a content producer and you're collecting an email list, you should be collecting a Facebook Messenger, just a Messenger bot list as well. The terminology is still a bit, new industry, could say anything these days. So I really like that as well. I think that's really cool. Another one, now we actually do this, but I could only saw it in use of what I was doing. I didn't see it elsewhere. When you think about, are you using a Facebook group? Okay, so if you're using a Facebook group, now we have a Facebook group for our group called The Association. So where we have our mastermind and where we talk to people, we have a Facebook group. We have a bot, and how I use that bot is to let people know when their group calls are on, when there's something new that I've made, when there's something they need to be aware of. We use it as a broadcasting tool. But I didn't necessarily pick up on like, well, that's just one area. But if you're a PT running boot camps or you do anything in a group environment, that's a really interesting use as well. So it's really rounding out how we communicate with people. And ultimately, I feel we're kind of curving that need on email, because I agree with you. Deliverability is becoming a really hard thing. People just don't look at their email like they used to.
And it's the same, like we set it up just to test that it would work. But when someone registers to want to actually contact someone and become part of the association, we have a section of the association bot which notifies us as salespeople or people that will basically be able to service that lead. And it says, hey, this person just inquired. Here's their email, here's their phone number straight away. So there's not like, oh, I'm sending it to a dormant salesperson's email and they're on the phone and they're doing other stuff and they never get the email of a new lead. It's like immediately Facebook Messenger notification, hit that, and you've got the lead of the person inquiring to become part of the business, and basically goes off to the races. So it's like anything where you were using email, like you said before, if you can get, like sometimes we have to get a little pretty creative in how we connect it up, but it can service pretty much any function.
Well, that's where, as you mentioned earlier, using a professional makes a difference, is how those setups come through. But I really am starting to kind of believe more in this. It's like the cryptocurrency thing. I do believe it's going to be a thing one day. Okay, so on the reverse of that, I can see a lot of really good uses and applications for this. Is there any circumstances where you think a messenger bot is like not going to be worth using, or it's a bad idea?
A lot of people try to, like, where it's a bad idea, like I think it's never a bad idea unless you're trying to imitate actual human beings. Like if you try to replace an actual person and pretend to be that, it's never going to work because it's not at that level yet. It'll probably get close, but it's not at that level of like a human conversation. So never try and make it replace or perceived to be a human. It's not. Like it's automated. It's like email on steroids kind of thing. So that's the case where I would say no. A lot of the times, people do that and it just falls into a heap. The second place where I'd say not to use it just yet is you can actually process payments through ManyChat, through any of the platforms, Chatfuel, all these different ones that you can use. You can process payments through it. I don't personally know that it's that effective just yet in that process. So it's like if you want to take a payment, I'd still send them to an order form, me personally. And that's kind of the only area where I wouldn't really use it at the moment, just because like it's functional there, but I don't know. Like I never like to be the person that tests the bugs out of things, especially when it comes to processing payments. I'd rather know for sure that it's going to work.
Yeah, I can agree on that. And I mean, in the rollout of tech, it's never been seamless in the beginning. I'm yet to see something come out that's perfect.
Yeah, of course.
So do you even remember like back when Facebook started? Like Facebook used to go down.
Yeah. Yeah, quite often.
Yeah. It's like when it started, it's just not working today. Cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time that happened these days. And I don't recall Instagram or Messenger ever being down. So fascinating how they move through, and I do think it's going to become stronger and stronger. All right, so we've kind of nailed that one, but you mentioned something in there. It's like, what are these platforms? I suppose you mentioned a few there, but what are the providers of bots that you think are worth paying attention to?
Yeah, there's and as I said, there's plenty of different ones, and generally every time someone asks me and I tell them like, oh, what about this one? I just like to go with the ones that I find have the most integrations and are the easiest to use from a tech standpoint, because like whilst I am relatively tech savvy, I'm not a coder or anything like that. I can generally hack things together, but I tried not to do that because I'll probably break it and ruin it. So the two I like to use are ManyChat and Chatfuel, the core ones that I utilize for clients. And if you're looking at you just want to connect something for yourself, I generally say that, again, if you're the less tech savvy you consider yourself, like if you're not that tech savvy, I would highly recommend ManyChat. It's the most simple interface, simple, easy, makes sense. If you're a little bit more techy and you're like, oh yeah, I know a few things, like I can find my way around programs pretty easy, then I would recommend Chatfuel. Has a few more options and integrations. Like I started with ManyChat, and then Chatfuel matched all the connections and integrations, so I moved most of our stuff across there. Your social voice bot is still on ManyChat just purely because we originally set it there, and it's super simple and easy to use. Like, yeah, it's easier than MailChimp. So if you can figure that sort of stuff out, then yeah, I would definitely recommend checking those two out. As I said, there's plenty more, but they're the two core ones that we use and recommend.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it sounds sound. I've had a look at both of them myself. I think we use Chatfuel, and I think it's a brilliant platform. Certainly, if you're someone, as I said, the benchmark from my point of view, if you're using like email services like Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign, then it falls into the same category of them. If it's something you would do yourself, you're probably right to have a go. But if that's something that's out of your sphere, then look to professionals who can help or assist would be my pick.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'd love to hear some of the stories. Like, you've been playing with this stuff quite a while. Is there some success stories you can share with us or tell us about in how businesses have gone and the results they've gotten from chatbots?
Yeah, so we've used a couple. We've played a lot with what we call competition bots, where you're doing a giveaway instead of the old school way of sending them to a landing page, getting them to register and all these things, using a bot for that, which is basically having a post where people comment on it. And once they comment, they're sent a message from the bot to then enter them into the competition. We had just a small business that we set one of those up for. They had over 1,200 people enter their competition in quite a small area of Perth. And it's not like again, this is Perth, so a small area of Perth. It's not like it's a big like Richmond in Melbourne or something like that. So they had 1,200 people enter, and they have been booked out now for the next 2 months in advance. Previously, like that wasn't even a thing. They were never booked out. Plus they have like 1,000 leads that they can then offer, like just consistently resend messages to re-engage them once they get close to the end of that 2 months. But that went absolutely ballistic. And I don't think they spent very much on ads at all. Like less than $100.
So let's break that down a little bit more because I think that's really cool. So this is a small business. What type of business was it?
They do wheelie bin cleaning.
Okay, so this is wheelie bin cleaning. I tell you what, if it's going to work for anyone, that's an interesting one for this to work for. Now, what they've done is they've actually run a competition using a Facebook bot. So they've got people to enter the competition through using a messenger bot. Mm-hmm. And then that's how they brought people into their sphere. And then on the results of that competition, they obviously had a winner and did a free service. But then they've also used that list to market towards other people and book the business out.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So that's a competition system, if you will, using messenger bot. And I think that's a really interesting way to go about it because you've got to think about this for a second. There's so many competitions and things out there in the world that, I don't know about you, but like raffle tickets and things like that in the supermarket or the shopping center once upon a time. It's really just like upping the level of how you do that. And I think for a lot of businesses, a giveaway or a competition can be a really great way of doing it. So I like that one a lot.
It's an easy way to bring people into your sphere. And then we have another client. Their bot wasn't even fully operational, but they were running ads just directly to Messenger to get people to interact with them in there. And they ended up doing something like 8,000% return on investment from their ad spend because they were bringing them in there. They were having a conversation. They were like actually interacting with each other in there. And the conversions on the back end of that, were I can't remember. It wasn't much that they spent on ads, but the return for them was ridiculous because it was a more personalized chat. It was more interactive and, the clients loved it. They were like, wow, yeah, cool. I love that, like I get to choose and get my questions answered straight away. And as a byproduct, they ended up, spending more money with them.
Brilliant. So one of the things I'm curious about, and I think about this is like, markets move. So, when I started on Google AdWords, for instance, or when I started doing things in advertising, like Google AdWords was like 1 cent clicks. Once upon a time, the yellow pages was this phenomenal thing, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. Do you think there's a really big advantage to the early adopters with Facebook bots? Because they're new, are you getting first mover advantage at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. It's the same as like people that built their email list and then had 97% open rates, the open rates in Messenger at the moment are average between 70 to 90%. Try and get that in email, like best of luck to you. So that's not really going to happen. And, it's like, obviously it's going to go down. Eventually Messenger will be similar to email, next, who knows, like 3-4 years. You start not opening every single message that you get because it will be like email. But now, like for the next 3 years, it's kind of like a gold mine, or not necessarily a gold mine, but at least it's a much greater opportunity for people versus anything else, like being one of the first people to have a website or have email. As I said, there's already between I wish I knew the number. I remembered it, 400,000 and 1 million bots on pages. So like that's still like barely 1% of what's possible out there. So still quite new, and I would highly recommend people get on it.
Fantastic. So where can someone go to see a bot in action? Like, I think for me, I tell you what, this is what changed my whole perspective on it, was that you actually sent me a bot and I had a play with it. I'm like, oh, holy shit, I actually start to see the potential. So being you around this stuff is like, where are some bots people can check out or have a look at where they're going to get to have that moment or perspective shift?
Yeah, and there's another cool thing I'll show you in just a sec for those of you who watch the videos on YouTube or Facebook. You'll see, if you're just listening, suckers, you got to jump on these other platforms.
Just hold on a second there. Our audio listenership is the strongest by far, so we won't offend our audio people. We'll give them links, but...
Of course, no, I want to offend them. I want to offend them to watch us on video, because to miss this back and forth that we have on video, guys, it's like if you've love the audio, the video is even better.
You could do both. You should be listening and watching.
Yeah, exactly. Volcano los dos, as my Mexican friends would say. So the first one would be to hit, as I said, yoursocialvoice.com.au and hit the contact us page, because, you can have a little bit of fun with my bot, play with my bot, all you like. It's a bit of fun. But now the second one, and this is what makes it the most important, right, is that in your phone, and this is why I jive at the audio listeners because I want to show you something on my phone, right? So in your phone, if you go to Messenger, you have the search functionality. Obviously, you can search for your friend, but what they've done is they now add a businesses section. I'm just going to show that. It's not going to be very clear, but just to show you, you see the Your Social Voice one up there also.
Surprisingly clear on the video, by the way. But anyway, continue.
Oh, really? It's actually good. And our bot's on there, yay, because it's searchable. So what that is businesses section is any business that has a bot. It actually used to say bots. Now it says businesses. They've renamed it to make it sexier for people to click on. But those, if you can scroll through there, so like Domino's Pizza, the NBA, the AFL, ABC News, weather.com, they all have bots on there as well. So you can jump on Bieber fans. I don't know why that shows up for me. I'm not a Bieber fan. But
sure. I don't mind it, but anyway, it's a story.
Yeah, it depends. I only like one song. But yeah, so if you can jump on there, and anything that's listed on their businesses actually has bots on there. And so you can submit your bot to be searchable where they come up. So ours is on there and searchable and comes up under, I think it's under education or something. We listed it. So we actually get a handful of people message us every single day just because we're listed on there. So we kind of get a little bit of free lead gen, which is a bit of fun. So if you list your bot for it to be searchable, it can come up in searches. And yeah, we get, I think, between 1 and 2 people a day maybe come through from that. So free lead gen for us. So again, advantage of being an early adopter is, free leads.
Absolutely. Well, if you had a website early on, just as an example, is like you would just get ranked on Google automatically. It was free leads.
Yeah. There's only 5 websites listed, so you got to get some traffic.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, it's been it's a very interesting topic. And I know for a lot of people that are listening to this right now, this might seem a bit futuristic or a bit over your head at the moment. But one of the reasons we wanted to do a podcast on this topic is because I sincerely believe these are going to hit the mainstream in the next couple of years. So if this podcast has been a little bit overwhelming or it seemed a bit newer to you, this is just kind of saying, well, this is somewhere you need to start looking. This is the information and stuff you need to start understanding. If you're someone who's listening to this right now and you're saying, well, look, I get this stuff, but I'm not doing it. This is your, how can I put it, wake up call or little reminder that there's an early adopter thing going on right now that you can take advantage of. There really is. And for the people out there that are killing it with Facebook bots, they're sitting there going, shut the fuck up.
And tell everyone, you're ruining it for us all.
Exactly. But nonetheless, for the average business owner, I do really think this is going to make an improvement to what they do. So Kim, is there anything else you would like to share about messenger bots or where you think this is going in the future?
Like I said, I believe that everyone that has a Facebook page will have a bot on there. Sneakily, there's kind of the same thing going on in Instagram in the background, a little bit hush-hush, but there is a platform opening up to do similar with Instagram. So, and again, this type of messenger subscriber list building as opposed to the old school Instagram bots, they just go unlike stuff. So, there's a lot of cool things going on. But as I say, I just think just be aware. Very worst case, go in, turn everything off in a bot and just connect one to your page because you may as well build subscribers. That's very, very minimum. That's always my big goal for everyone is just at least connect one. Don't even have to do anything with it, but just connect it to your page so any message you get does become a potential subscriber in the future.
So what are the costs associated with doing that? I think some of these platforms are even free at the moment.
Yeah, they're all free. The only thing that costs is if you want to remove branding. So if you want to remove the branding of them so people don't, your competitors don't know what you're doing or anything like that, that's the only time it costs. And I think it's starts at $30 a month. I think the most expensive, if you have 20,000 subscribers, $199. But if you have 20,000 subscribers and you're not making $199, something else is wrong. That shouldn't be a problem for you.
Something else is very wrong if that's the case.
Yeah.
But that just there's really very little downside to having a play at the moment. A lot of upside if you get this stuff right. So what I'll say on this one, guys, is if you would like to learn more about Facebook bots, you can head over, and I've got the URL here. Something Kim's been doing more of is yoursocialbots.com. And he's got a whole bunch of information on bots. Additionally, go to yoursocialvoice.com. and check out the contact page. .au?
Yeah, .au on Your Social Voice.
It's not global. So yoursocialvoice.com.au, and then check out the contact page for a really good example. And the other one I'll mention here is if you actually go onto our website, confessionsofabusinessowner.net, we actually have a Facebook bot on there as well. So there's some really good examples of like use cases of these and how it could be done, along with some really good examples that Kim has included along the way. So that is the end of this episode, Kim. And thank you for sharing so much on this topic. And even then, it's like, it's been a reminder for me. I'm like sitting here, I'm going to message my team shortly. Guys, we need to be doing more with this bot stuff.
Definitely. And I think that's it. And it's just like, you start and then you can add more on. You don't have to, build the whole empire in a day. It's just brick by brick.
Absolutely. So that's it for this episode of Confessions of a Business Owner. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing so much on this topic, Kim. I'm sure it's something we will revisit in the future. So catch you later, guys. This has been Confessions of a Business Owner.
Bye-bye.